Tonight, a controversial Peninsula landlord sits behind bars where he will spend the next 17 years. Yesterday, a judge sentenced David Merryman, who owns dozens of rental properties across Newport News and Hampton, after he defrauded the federal government of COVID relief payments while racially intimidating his tenants. In part two of an exclusive sit-down with Alex Littlehales, investigators reflect on why this case is unlike any they've seen in their investigative career.
This is the first case where we have had criminal charges brought against a landlord for knowingly not keeping the property up to safe and sanitary conditions. They have to certify that the programs are held to a certain standard, and the facts here are so egregious.
But the federal investigation into David Merryman isn't only about what he did, but how he did it.
I think the uniqueness of this case, though, is the civil rights component of that. And
racist harassment.
Derogatory names, like, do you want me to say them?
Being a Merryman tenant often meant being the subject of physical threats and verbal abuse. Rooted in Merryman's verbal threats were racial slurs and racist intimidation.
He would initiate this process of racist harassment and intimidation until they either moved themselves out or he would evict them. And in some cases, he would actually sabotage the utilities on his own houses in order to get people out.
In the federal case against Merryman, victims range from Hampton Roads residents to the federal government. Beyond tenant intimidations was a scheme to illegally obtain federal dollars. Merryman pleaded guilty to charges of wire fraud, identity theft, and racial interference with housing and employment, allegedly forging signatures and his identity as tenants to illegally obtain COVID-19 rent relief from the Virginia Housing Development Authority.
Mr. Merryman took money away from other individuals that rightly deserved it, limited amount of funds in the rent relief program, and there was a very high demand. The demand certainly outstripped the supply.
a pattern is a way to establish someone's specific intent to defraud. And so someone like David Merryman, who is repeatedly making false claims for rent relief benefits to the Virginia Housing Department, you can prove circumstantially his intent to defraud that government agency by his repeatedly doing it over and over. It's a very meticulous, careful thing that's revealed through the pattern of how someone does it over and over again.
A federal judge sentenced Merryman to serve 17 years in prison. A bittersweet moment for his tenants who may be happy he'll serve time, but may still live in one of the houses he owns.
And we're still in his house. It's a lot of money to move. Like, you need a deposit and you need the last month's rent.
But for now, investigators and his tenants can feel relief knowing he's behind bars.
This is the first case where I was receiving phone calls and emails thanking our agency and our partnership for taking Merryman off the street.
It is unfortunate that there are so many examples criminally and civilly of misuse of CARES Act funds.
Combination of egregious conduct that we see here is really unprecedented, though.
Poetic justice in this case, because in my opinion, Dave Merryman could never survive being sentenced to live in one of his own rental properties.
In Newport News, Alex Littlehales for 13 News Now.
Well, you can watch Alex's two-part exclusive on the 13 News Now Plus app. It's available for free on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.